Hey there, guys. All right, so we're gonna get started. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode should be pretty cool. It's today is based on awareness. So, with that said, I want to read what it says here. March 4th. Awareness is freedom. The person is free who lives as they wish, neither compelled nor hindered, nor limited, whose choices aren't hampered, whose desires succeed, and who don't fall into the repels them. Oh, and who don't fall into what repels them. Who wishes to live in deception, tripped up, mistaken, undisciplined, complaining, in a rut. Oh, I guess that's a question. Sorry. Who wishes to live in deception, tripped up, mistaken, undisciplined, complaining, or in a rut? No one. These are base people who don't live as they wish, and so no base person is free. Epictetus Disclosures 4113a. So the explanation we get here is it is sad to consider how much time many people spend in the course of the day doing things that they have to do. Not necessarily obligations like other work or family, but the obligations we needlessly accept out of vanity or ignorance. Consider the actions we take in order to impress other people or the lengths we'll go to fulfill urges or sate desires we don't even question. In one of his famous letters, Seneca observed how often powerful people are slaves to their money, to their possessions, to their mistresses, and even as as was legal in Rome, to their slaves. No slavery is more disgraceful. He quipped, he quipped, than one which is self-imposed. We see the slavery all the time. A codependent person who can't help but clean up after a dysfunctional friend. A boss who micromanages employees and sweats every penny. The countless causes, events, and get-togethers we are too busy to attend but agree to go anyways. We agree to anyways. Take an inventory of your obligations from time to time. How many of those are self-imposed? How many of those are truly necessary? Are you as free as you think? So, switching back here, I think that's a very interesting one. The main idea of this is that true freedom comes from living with awareness, knowing why you want to do, and knowing why we do what we do, rather than being trapped by obligations, social expectations, and mindless desires. Epictetus says freedom isn't just about external choices, it's about not being ruled by our own impulses, fears, and social pressures. Many people live in deception, trapped by routines and expectations. They never question it. The illusion of obligation, sorry. But I really love this passage because it's something that I had to deal with, and I think everybody at some point needs to realize that sometimes we take on things either to make face with a friend or family or X reason. And you have to realize one thing I realize is that our energy, even our thoughts, our energy, our thoughts use up energy. So our energy is finite. And we have to be very careful uh who we give it to. Um how many things we do because we think we have to? If you really sat there and really thought like, is this really my responsibility? You see that a lot of times it's not. Working late, attending events we don't care about, spending money to impress others. Seneca pointed out that even the powerful are slaves to their own wealth. And then they are. The rich are slaves to making, not rich, but some people, even with a lot of money, are rich. I mean, are prisoners to that wealth, to the status, to the desire. Some people have, and I hear it all the time. I hear it in songs, and you see people say this. You say millionaires, you know, it's not that money isn't everything, but money doesn't buy happiness because, in essence, happiness comes from within, from us actually doing things that we want to do. Um, the other thing I wanted to bring up here is sometimes I feel I know people like this, and I'm pretty sure you know people like this, where sometimes it feels like the obligations they have and they put impose on themselves is they put it on themselves. Like, well, it's not that they put them on themselves. They're like codependent to that relationship. They need to feel like they need to be doing this to feel like they matter. The codependent relationship where people sacrifice their own well-being for others. I've seen this, where there's bosses that micromanage and stress over every detail. Um, I have family members are this way, and I've had that talk with them where, um, in order to make anything grow, any business grow, you have to be able to give other people the opportunity to step up. And by micromanaging, you kill that opportunity, And once again, you're taking their responsibility, so they never get a chance to take it. Um, and I believe like that's another prison. Like as a boss, when you have a business that you like, I have a little story for this one. And I read this way back in the day, and this is it's just John Maxwell. I think it's John Maxwell, but it was another book called Leadership 101. And in that book, it specified how sometimes we feel we're doing good as managers, or if you're leading people, you feel like you're doing good, but realistically, you're doing everything. You're burning yourself out doing everything. And what happens there is that some people get it done. They don't get too resentful against people, but most people do. And what happens that when a leader like that leaves, whatever he's leading, may it be a church. In this instance, I think the book talked about a church, a pastor, but may it be a church, may it be a job, anywhere. If it comes down, and this is one thing that surprised me, because a lot of people think of this one backwards. If you're leading somewhere and it falls apart as soon as you leave, a lot of people feel proud about that. They're like, oh, they couldn't make it without me. And that is a sign of bad leadership. See, this book taught me that you have to empower others. And if you get a system or whatever you're working on so good that you can walk away and it runs like, fine, nobody falls apart, that's a sign of a good leader. And I feel like that's the one thing that you need to do with awareness is really realize what you're really good at. What do you bring to the table? And then find other people to help you with the rest, or get, not take over what they other people can do. And that's why I always tell people, like, take inventory. What is really your responsibility? How many of your obligations are self-imposed? Are you living for your values, or are you controlled by the fear, vanity, or the pressure? You know, I'd like to challenge everybody. The challenge for today is say no to one thing that doesn't align with your priorities. Like, seriously, sit down, go through all the stuff that even sitting down, listening to all the noise in your head, try to decipher where that noise is coming from. If it's warranted, like, sit down and listen to the worries you have in your head and ask yourself, is that really something for me to worry? Like, for example, I see, and this happens a lot, with moms, right? They worry a lot about their kids or about the choices they're making. See, you, I tell this to my mom all the time, and I don't want to be mean or put anything down, but sometimes she'll come and, like, I'm worried about, like, everything you got going on. And my mom's always been a worrier, right? But I one time just told her, I'm like, what does it help me with you worrying? Like, think about that. If you're sitting there and one of the noises in your head is you worrying about someone else's, like, oh, they're going to make a wrong choice, or they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Look, there's only certain things you can control. And those are the things that should be in your head, the things that you can actually control. Your emotions or your reactions. Those are the things you control. But worrying about what someone else could do or is not going to do or could possibly do is just a waste of energy. So if you sit there and really sit down and think about it, like, okay, what's one of the worries, and that, it's not mine. Like, worrying doesn't fix anything. So I would challenge you to that. Sit down, really go through the inventory, go listen to all the noise, all the voices that you have in your head, and really pick one, or try to decipher, are they all yours? Are they really worries that you should have? You know? So my closing thoughts here are you truly free, or are you just following the script that society, your job, or your ego wrote for you? Um, I think that's a really, really good passage. I think it's a good thing to sit there and think about. One of the things that I did notice once I started doing this, It's all about self-awareness. The moment you try to stop and instead of worrying about all the world outside, and you sit down and look internally, like what am I causing these problems, or what am I doing that I keep on putting myself in the same situation. It applies for a lot of things. Relationships. Habits, whatever it is. If you feel like you're trapped by it, sit down and decipher it. Is it really, why am I doing these things, and is it really something that I need to continue carrying? Right. So appreciate you guys joining. Hopefully this is something that is impactful and you guys can use it and grow from it. So thank you guys for joining me again today, and I'll see you again tomorrow for a really quick, short daily stoic. All right, bye.